Hello, everybody. Yo, yo. Papi Guapo. Too good to be true. Diego Alvarez here with my man Red Dog.
Bet. And you're checking out the Three Count Podcast, so that's what we're here for.
Oh, yeah. 3 Count Podcast, baby. Sorry. Had to get that in.
Welcome, everyone, to another great edition of the Three Count Podcast presents Now Wintering, and now I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And by now, with this being season 5, season 6, our 400 or something episode, I would just hope you say it with me. I am your Sherpa, because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering. So who's entering? You can find this man at Focus. You can find him at Proving Ground. You can find him at TRP, WFA, GMW, Limitless, NCW, RSPW, BWA, RWA, and that's just the things he's done in the last year. You can find this man keeps things high. Es muy caliente, es el fuego de New England. Es el guapo of grappling. He is Diego Alvarez.
Papi Guapo. Too good to be true. Let's get that right, my brother.
Yo, it's a long intro, but I'm trying my best.
I got you. Now, I did go by the Guapo of grappling. But I decided, I'm like, Papi Guapo. I remember I just said it randomly. I'm like, ooh, Papi and Guapo. I feel like that it's shorter, to the point. Plus, I am Papi,
It's funny because we've met at Focus Pro, and we met a few times at Focus Pro, and then we started running into each other like in other places too.
Yeah.
And I remember like the first time watching you work was Hard Work Heroes. You guys had the street fight, actually.
Oh, still one of my favorite matches, I gotta say.
I was recording that night.
Oh yeah, like I didn't have to since this is more behind the scenes, type of atmosphere. Because I usually like to, not break the illusion, but hey, fuck it. I gotta say that's one of my favorite matches. And I was told 30 minutes beforehand by Bayside, hey, you want to wrestle for me? I'm like, I wasn't really ready for a street fight, but it's my boys Aaron and Barnaby. So I trusted them. I've trained with them multiple times, and I know they'll take care of me. I know they're not gonna do anything stupid. So that was a lot of fun. I was really feeling myself in that match because we really didn't have to call anything. It was a street fight. What do you have to call in a street fight? You just have to beat each other up. That's it, with weapons.
Throw each other into a post. Get the crowd into it. That's really kind of cool. Yeah. It's funny because that was the first night I actually met Brian as well, and
really?
We'll pull the curtain even further back. So I had actually moved up from Maryland, maybe probably 2-3 months before that show, and I had ran into. I had a friend who knew Adam from SNW, right from Supernova, and he was like, hey, I'm going to this show in Boston. I really think you should come. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I went there not knowing anybody at the time. And then later, as the cards started to come together, I started realizing, I know all these people. I've seen all these people work from different places. Yeah, so it was the first time I met. And the funny thing was, Brian was like, yo, that's Adam's boy. I think funny enough, he was like, I think he might be a yarder, but I'm not 100%. Not knowing that I had been trained. I had been wrestling in Maryland for 5 years. So when I popped up and him and I started talking, it was that night we started talking a little bit. And the second time I came up to watch, actually it was at Mo Money Mo Problems. That's when he realized, he's like, oh no, this dude really actually can work. He wants to work. Okay, cool, we'll talk to him. And then he had me help him train Stash Club for their match with Abs and Stan.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And that's when, and I'll tell you this, Brian, I know you're watching. He dead ass told me, he goes, well, if I would have known that you could sell the way you sell in a practice match, I would have just booked you on my show sooner.
I mean, it took me a while to get booked for Focus. And I think that was my first match. It wasn't the street fight. It was a match the show beforehand. I think it was September of 2023 against Jamie Tucker.
Mm,
I don't really like to. I mean, I love Jamie Tucker, but I like to look at the street fight as my like debut and focus.
yeah.
Just it was such a, we had the entrance with the, I forget the guy who was singing, but we had that cool entrance, and it was one of the, I think it was one of the first times that I teamed with Lex, because I think it was end of 2023 is when we started a team. We decided to team. And after that focus match, that street fight, we were like, oh no, we're gonna keep on teaming more and more because we just had that chemistry right off the
Sure.
bat.
Yeah, for me, I think my first match was with on Focus was with Abs, which is a match that like Abs and I we knew each other from, like I said, like I moved up from Maryland, but I had ran into him so many times at Invictus, and our circles like intersected all the time, but we never got a chance to work. And so we finally got our match in, and then after that I worked Shotgun Adams. And then from there, Brian was like, all right, yo, I want to bring you on the show more often and blah, 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 blah. So that all kind of took off. It was great though. But like I saw you wrestle at BWA as well. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn, like Diego and I, we started having this kind of like kinship. And I was like, of course, like I got to bring this man on this podcast because like I saw that, I think it said that you had, according to Cage Fight, you can correct this, you can correct them now, said like you started in like 2022. So like, what was the moment that got you into pro wrestling? Like you were like, I have to do this.
I guess you can say. I mean, I always liked it as a kid. I always watched like any other wrestler that's coming up. Oh, I used to watch WWE. I feel like everybody grew up watching WWE. That's the first type of wrestling that everybody watched. And at first, I just loved it. It's something that I like to watch. And then it was at the end of high school when I was thinking, like I was working out a little bit more. I was getting in shape, and I'm thinking, why can't? Who says I can't do it? Why not? So I just decided to, take a shot and start training for it. I started training in 2018, but I was very on and off. So I wasn't like I wasn't like into it. I wasn't in deep, I wasn't like fully committed to it until like 2022 is when I decided, I decided to finally like consistently train more and, work to get on shows. And that's where I think that's the year when I switched to belt time and started training with Bo Douglas, Benny Jukes, Frank Champion. Yeah, 2022. That's when the debut happened in Vermont.
Nice.
ETWA. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember like for me, it was 2020 and the pandemic happened and like it shut down all my plans. And I was like, this is not cool.
Oh yeah, that happened too. That's another thing too. The pandemic happened, so like I started training less and less. But yeah, I mean, thankfully that's all over now. Jesus.
I kept telling myself too, I was like, I kept looking at it as a sign of like, oh no, like this is your opportunity to stop, like right now. Like,
No.
Like the pandemic happened, and I was like, you know what? Hey man, you gave it the college try. God clearly doesn't want you to do this. And I was like,
oh no, man. Always
like,
gotta keep going.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
maybe.
always.
Well, like what's crazy too is like I had the pandemic happen, and then I had my practice match with a friend of mine, and I was like, yo, maybe after the practice match, I was like, maybe this isn't for me, right? And I kept working at it. I kept getting better, a little better, a little better, a little better. That was supposed to debut, tore my abdomen muscle, and was
man,
out for 10 weeks.
Oh, that's rough. That's rough. You never stop though. You never stop. Doesn't matter.
Nope, kept going, kept pushing through. Actually, you know what's funny is this, the last Focus Pro show, and sorry, babe. My wife was there. It was the first time she'd ever seen me work like in a pro wrestling scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool to hear. Hell yeah.
So like, and you probably there's like one girl that was just loud at Widowmaker.
Oh, there's so many. Especially when Papi Guapo comes out, all the ladies are loud. Let's be honest. When they see Lex Lozano and Diego Alvarez, they can't help to be loud. I can't blame them. There was a lot of loud ones. you gotta be specific.
You were at Skyros that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have definitely heard my sister-in-law full voice, bro. Like she was like everybody came to me in the back. They're like, "Yo, there's this girl. She's super loud and like she's just eating up everything you guys do out there." I was like, "Yep, that's my sister-in-law." Just keep into it because like I think Ryan Clancy and Andy Brown had a match, and like she just fell head over heels for Andy, and she was like,
Of course.
"Get up, Daddy! Get up!" And then like Clancy was like, "I'm trying," like he's like talking to her. Yo, I was crying, bro. It was like,
Oh man, it's a great time, man. There's a lot of great talent and focus coming
yeah,
up. It's becoming. I feel like, in my opinion, it's becoming the show to like be at. Like you can't miss a Focus Pro show.
no,
You really can't.
especially when Poppy's on the show too. Like, bro, like,
Oh, come on, the face of Focus Pro Wrestling, and don't listen to Mike Aries. You know, don't listen to him at all. I'm the real face of Focus Pro Wrestling. Let's be real. Let's be real. What's up, Monty? If you're watching.
but like, I mean, yeah, shout outs to the neighborhood. You know, I mean, Kid V definitely got a win over me, but you know, we'll get back to it. Anyway,
You'll get him. I got you.
I'll get it back sometime. But no, like, so being in, you said, you know, 18 off and on before you started taking things seriously, man. Like, what made you commit finally? What made you decide, like, hey, okay, now we really gonna go for this outside of just like, you know, you're getting in better shape?
Just day by day, like, you know, every day, you know, you go to work, you have your like little routine, your 9 to 5 job, and it just gets repetitive, you know. It gets really repetitive. I mean, I'm still doing the 9 to 5 job, but like, I just needed something else. I was like, you know what? I know I don't want to live with what ifs for the rest. You know what I mean? That's the worst thing ever, in my opinion. Like, you grow old and you just start thinking like, damn, if only I did that. If only I did this. And that's when one day it just snapped, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going back to wrestling training consistently. Let me see. And then I looked up belt time. I remember somebody, I forget who told me. I think it was Sam Radcliffe. Shout out Sam. I think he's the one who mentioned one time that, oh yeah, there's a school in Wakefield. That's when belt time was located in Wakefield. And I'm like, what? There's a school in Wakefield? I'm 10 minutes away from Wakefield. It's way closer than the other school. I'm like, yeah, I mean, try it out. Bo Douglas is a great coach. Blah, blah. I'm like, all right. And I stopped by, and then that's where I started training more consistently and getting on shows more. But yeah, I mean, that was just that, really. Just one day, I just thought, you know what? I don't want to be in the same. I don't want to have the same routine for the rest of my life. You know, I actually want to, like, I don't want to have what ifs. Let's just shoot for the stars. See what happens. What's the worst that can happen?
Yo, like, how old are you though?
I was about to say 23 for some reason. I don't know why. I wish I was still 23. 27.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's such a crazy age to have the what if thoughts.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, man. I was actually living in Georgia at the time that I had turned 26 going into 27, and I too actually had the like, I don't want to leave stones unturned. And I had a bunch of friends of mine down in the Florida, like northern Jacksonville, southern Georgia area, that were all professional wrestling. And I was like, oh man, that's something I would want to get into. I would love to get into that. I was like, maybe later. You know, I'm focused on school right now, blah, 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 blah. And then when I moved to Maryland and I finished school and I was like, I had nothing else to do, I was like, what if I became a pro wrestler? And then that's like how I jumped in too. Because I was like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I lived a whole life prior to like just anything in professional wrestling. Like, so because I don't know, I think we've talked about it, but like, you know, that was former military, like way before all this. And so when I got out and I was like 25, 26 years old, I was like, what am I gonna do? And I was like, let me be a writer for the WWE. That sounds like a great job.
Oh yeah.
They never talked back to me, so it's like,
hey, you tried.
I did.
That's what matters at the end of the day. You tried. But yeah, I understand. You're like looking for that next chapter in your life.
100%. Because I think you know, just like you, man. You know, we look at things and we're like, we have to decide whether, like, is it time to pull the trigger, or is that something we really want to get into, or, you know, and as a kid we have all these dreams and aspirations of like wanting to do something cool, and like then you see a bunch of like your, and I'll be fair, classmates, friends and stuff like that, they don't do it. They're always like, I could
100%. 100%. I've seen so many like people that I've met up with in high school, and like, I mean, some of them are doing great, but then there's some that are just like, oof, wow, okay, you know, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like that person. No disrespect to, you know, those people.
Right. But you'd look at them too, and you're like, you know, you like, I always think about it too, and it's no disrespect to people who don't like hit that goal of whatever they're gonna do.
Of
Because
course.
some people's life goals is like, yo, I want to be a teacher in life. Like, great, I'm glad
Hell yeah.
you're doing your thing, 100%. But then there's those people who are like, oh well, I wanted to be a professional football player, and then like midway through, they're just like, I'm not gonna do it, or I'm not gonna be able to do it, so I'm just gonna stop. And they're like, I'm gonna choose something else. It's like, well, why? Why not try?
Exactly.
I always think
Like,
about it. It's like,
you always got to try, in my
yeah.
opinion.
I was like, what if you so like, because like, and then I hear it all the time. People would give like odds, right? Like there's 205, Division I schools in college football, and then there's only 32 teams, and there's only 55 players, 57 players on the football roster. I was like, yeah, but you could be one of those 55.
You
There's
can
32.
easily be one of those people.
Yeah, all you gotta
It
do is
doesn't
just
really matter. As
try.
long as you
Just try.
try. I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with trying and failing. That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm. I
There's
had a,
nothing
I had
wrong with it.
a, I had a client earlier today ask me, and if you guys are wondering, we're recording this on the second. You guys won't see this on the 2nd of April, but you'll see this. But I had a client ask me, they're like, how many people go into pro wrestling? I was like, thousands. A yearly? I was like, thousands. And
There's a
then he's like,
lot.
yeah, he's like, really? I was like, yeah. And I told him, I was like, in the New England area alone, there's probably at least close to 3,000 people who try to go into pro wrestling, and that's like maybe in a couple months. So you're talking like double that number, triple that number,
Yeah.
at least going in and out. And he's like, how many people leave? I was like, thousands of people leave the business every year because it's
Like,
hard.
yeah, the school that I trained at first, New England Pro Wrestling Academy. I remember my first day there, or like one of my first few days there. I remember that was the first thing that the guys there mentioned is like, oh yeah, like dude, there's a lot of people that come in, but like a lot of people don't come back. Like we recently had some seminar or whatever they meant. I forget what it was that they were talking about. This is like years ago, but they mentioned that like out of like a whole number of people, like 30 some people that came to this thing, only 2 came back or whatever, or like 30. They had like a bunch of new students, and only like 2 came back or something. So it's like it's a lot of people. It's not for everybody.
Yeah,
It
100%.
really isn't, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
Mm-mm. And I was talking with Ben Bishop. I don't know if you know who Big Trouble Ben
Oh,
Bishop
and
is.
I've heard of him. Yeah, the guy
Yeah.
with the videos and stuff.
Yep.
He's hilarious.
But he's a good friend of mine, and actually, what's funny is he started training like 5 months before I started training, and we were trained by the same person. And we were talking about how he was talking to me about his WWE tryout and how like one of the NFL player or it was like a prospective NFL player, a former NFL player, I can't remember exactly, but he took a bump, and then he was just like, you know what, nah, and he just left. He just grabbed his gear and he walked out. He's like, this isn't for me, bro. I'm not here
Yeah.
for it. And it's like, yeah, like it is crazy to think about. Like when Ben was with me the first week, it was me and it was like 4 other people, and it was January. We were training outside, by the way, and it was January. So yeah, you
Ooh.
can imagine, like, yeah, it's not. But the next week, there was 35 kids at the training facility training, and then
Wow.
the following week there was me. Like that was
Wow.
it. And like,
And
and it was crazy to see how quick like it just was gone.
it's because wrestling, I feel like, is very unnatural. If you think about it, like what we do is it's not even like my coaches say the same thing. It's the most unnatural thing. Like you're willingly throwing your body on the mat, on the canvas.
Yeah.
Like you're willingly, when you take a bump, you're willingly just falling down, and your mind like is saying, "What are you doing, psycho?" When you first try it.
Yeah. I remember too, like taking my first bump, and I was when I was working in the dark arts, so we call it. I took my first bump being trained in the backyard, and when I took my first real bump, I remember like how it felt, and I remember writing an entire like somewhere on Google. You guys can find it. You can find my blurb about it. But I was talking about that first time, like taking a bump. It felt like a car crash, and I was like, I kind of want to hit the wall a few more times with my car. Like,
Yeah. That's how I felt like the day after. When you first take that bump, it's like, all right, it doesn't hurt, but like you can feel it.
yeah,
It's not until the next day. I remember the morning after my first training is when I, like you said, feel like you've been in a car crash. insane. I'm waking up, I'm just like, oh, you feel it all over your body. It's just like, nah. Well, I never even had that thought of like, no, I'm not going back. It was more like, ooh, so this is, I'm gonna go back, but like, damn, this is wrestling. Oh shit.
No, I remember taking my first bump and then like just like feeling everything jar in me, and I was like, yo, what was that? And I was like, and everybody was like, yo, you good? I was like, yeah. And then it was like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix was like, do you want some more? I'm like, hell yeah. Just like, let me throw myself on the ground some more. I just
Yeah.
instantly like fell in love with that feeling, and I was like, let me just get into this and figure out more. And then from there, I actually went out and got trained. And from there, when I figured out how to do like flip bumps and face bumps properly, and then I secretly found out that my favorite kind of bump is a dojo bump, and I was like, just crazy list of just like, let me just throw myself as high as I can in the air and just like slam on the ground. Like, no.
It's a fun time wrestling.
It is, and you find out a lot about yourself.
The what?
I say you find out a lot about yourself.
You really do. I have in the last few years. I have.
Yeah. What speaking of taking bumps, what's the worst bump you've taken so far?
I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily like a flat back bump, but like this is more of like someone landing on me during a dive. That's technically still a bump. I mean, I fucking fell on. I'm sorry, I don't know if we can swear, but like, I fell on the floor, but I'll count that as the worst bump because the nerves on my shoulder were like messed up for weeks. I had to go to PT for it. I couldn't like I had to lay down in the car because I was riding with Johnny Pierce. Shout out Johnny Pierce and his girl Selena, Heather. And I remember to ask him like I was like screaming in the back like because I had to lay down. I couldn't move, and anytime I tried to like sit up, it would hurt. Like this was burning, and it was the worst pain I've felt so far. Like when it comes to wrestling, nothing happened. Like I said, I went to PT for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and I was fine. To this day, this shoulder is still weak, unfortunately. But yeah, I hate dives. I hate dives. I didn't see it coming. That's the thing. Like I knew it was coming, but like the dive was coming from this side, and my head was still facing that way. So I just so it was like I didn't see. It was that blow that you don't see coming, which is way worse. So I didn't have time to prepare for it because I just didn't turn my head in time. But yeah, that's probably the worst bump I've taken. I could not. It was the worst ride back home.
I mean, at least you kind of was like somewhat safe. Like even the person was like safe. I know of a guy. He's watching this. He watches every episode that we put out. I know of a guy who swears to God that he made eye contact with his opponent, and then like hit the ropes and dove, and his opponent never saw him. So my man, concrete hit the concrete. Just yeah, and you heard the thud like through the whole building. It was just thud.
Oh no, that's awful. Oh yeah. No, put me back in, pin me. That's the finish. That's the finish.
They instantly hit the X, bro. That was like, nope.
Oh yeah. Even no X, I'm like, yo, throw me back in, pin me. I don't care if you're going over. Just pin me.
Yeah, and to this day, he'll always say, "Nah, man, like I was in the ring, I looked at him, he looked at me, and I took off." And his opponent, who's also a great friend of ours, was like, "Dog, we never made eye contact. We never looked at each other. You just
God."
Like,
who do you believe? Oh.
I don't know, but either way, it was crazy. But what's the hardest lesson you've had to learn so far being in the business?
Let's see. Keep your mouth shut and just not that don't have an ego, because in my opinion, I think it's silly when people say don't have an ego in wrestling, because everybody in wrestling has an ego to some degree. But I've learned to just keep my mouth shut, listen, and just be professional. Be professional in the locker room.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much, yeah. I've learned it. I've been talked to before. Like, I'm not saying I'm like I'm raising hell backstage or anything, but like I'm talking about like my first year. I'm still like I'm still very green and still thin. I'm still green, but I just let's just say I don't know. Just I had to keep your mouth shut. Let's just put it like that. first year, you talk too much, but I got talked to about it, and I've been trying to just, remain professional as much as I can. I don't have a big mouth, but hey, I'm too good to be true, papi guapo. That's my thing. I talk to, like that dude talks a lot, and I'm like, hey, that's just me. I'm just being myself. I'm just being myself at the end of the day. So like, if you either like me or you don't. That's how I go about, things.
I feel you. I feel you. It's funny because like even for myself, like I feel like I tend to, I don't know, like I have some pretty solid mentors who kind of smarten me up in the business like now, and I'll always reach out to them just like, hey man, what would you do in this situation? Like, well, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, all right, good.
That's what I do too now. I'll hit up people that I trust. I'm like, hey, like I need some advice, just so I don't tick people off or like give off a vibe. But yeah, I do that a lot too as well.
It's funny because like I have a whole bunch of friends down in Maryland and stuff like that, like even in through like New Jersey, and they'll always like they'll slide in my DMs and be like, yo, can I ask you a question real quick? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? And they'll send me like a letter, like this long ass message, like, can you proofread this and make sure it just sounds like I'm not coming off aggressive? And I'm like, do I really give all that kind of view that like I'm like it's either I'm soft or I'm too professional? Like, what are we trying to tell me right now?
That's never a bad thing. That's never a bad thing. I'm trying to remain as professional as I can because a lot of people think that I don't know, I talk too much. Sometimes I'm a little too much in gimmick. That's what I mean. Like my first year, I was too much in gimmick. You need to learn when to turn it off and turn it on, and that's like I said, that's one of the hardest lessons that I've learned. Like, hey, bro, like, fucking straighten up. Like, you gotta. I get, you're, too much, too gimmicky. Just tone it down a little. Right here,
Yep.
put it down here. You're up here. Just put it down here. All right.
So last thing I'm gonna ask you about, right, before we jump into my favorite part of the this podcast, right? So let's keep it a buck, right? Diego Alvarez, right? Also, my name clear my shoot name does not ring out Latino at all, man. So we have a we have a we have a benchmark that we gotta be so proud of that we gotta to elevate each rung on the ladder, man. So what's it mean to you to be a Latino in professional wrestling, and what do you look to do to put your inch on the ceiling that we're trying to raise?
Hmm, that's a hard question. Just prove that Latinos do it best. Latinos, can shine in pro wrestling. Like you see guys like Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. I just, keep that trend going of charismatic Latino wrestlers.
Yeah, and that's I've talked to a lot of people, right? Hispanic mechanics, I've talked to, Evander James is another one too. Like and the list goes on and on of people that I brought on. And the one thing I keep talking about is there's this trend, right? That wrestling had for the longest time where you had like a luchador or like you were like a thug, right? Or like you were just like I don't know, a gardener,
The
right?
Mexicools.
Mexicools, right?
They
Like you
rode out
just
in the freaking lawnmowers and stuff, whatever the fuck that was. Like,
yeah,
so,
like
like, yeah, it's
but there's this huge vast ocean of like talent that Latinos are and Latinas are that we bring like all these different characters, right? Whether you're like you're a homicide type, thank you for everything that you did in the business, by the way,
hell yeah.
or you're suave, right? Or you're a mercenary or whatever. I think there's like this plethora of characters that are out there that people don't really get to showcase. And I think it's very important that in like as a community that we keep elevating that up, and so people keep understanding that like, yeah, Latinos do it best. You're absolutely right. Like we have it all. Like shit, when you talk about professional wrestlers, like I get it. Yeah, you can talk about like you can touch Will Ospreys, you can talk about your Ricochets,
Yeah,
right? But you're
all
gonna
those
come
guys.
back, you're gonna be like Eddie, Ray, Penta, Ray Phoenix, right? Like Dominic right now, who's killing the game. Like
In,
you're gonna
in my
talk.
opinion, I think Latino. Sorry to interrupt, but Latinos. I feel like I want Latinos are more charismatic in my opinion. That's what That's what I want to like. Install into people that like Latinos do it best, and there's no one more charismatic than Latinos.
No, I always feel like, and it's funny because I tell my daughter all the time. I was like, because my daughter, who is she's I will call it 25% Hispanic. I was like, listen, there's a charm that you don't quite understand how to harness. It'll show up, and then
Oh yeah,
everybody's gonna know that you have like this little swag about you. But you're never gonna really know it. It's just gonna be there naturally. And she's just
it's
like,
it's a thing.
yeah. I was like, it's a thing. Trust me, it'll be there. And to this day, she's like, everybody, like, she's like, recently she came up to me and she was like, one of my classmates just told me that I don't look white. I was like, well, that's weird because you definitely are, but it's cool that somebody recognizes that you have like a little flavor to you too.
Exactly. Hey, it comes along. I mean, even me as a kid, like I was like thinking, I was very shy. Like I was scared of my own freaking shadow, But like you said, like it just comes along. It naturally comes along. That charm.
Yeah.
The older you get.
Yeah. I was like, don't worry. It's going to pop up. You're just going to show out. And then someone's going to be like, yo, there's something about you, kid. I'm like, yeah, you know what it is. They just going to keep guessing.
Of
Keep
course.
telling them. Don't worry about it. Yo, let me pop this over to my favorite part of the 3 Count podcast, which is the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions. This is how it works, Diego. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions, rapid fast, and whatever your answer is, that is your answer.
Oh God, I don't know if I'm good at these, but let's go.
All right. Well, we're gonna put on the imaginary timer for added pressure.
Oh God.
And in the words of my favorite commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
Big Daddy.
That's a great one. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Favorite cartoon?
Ed, Ed and Eddie.
It's a great pick. Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Favorite TV show?
Damn it. Oof. I'm gonna name one from my childhood. Drake and Josh.
I like it. Marvel or DC?
Don't watch either. Really, not really big into any of those.
Okay. Favorite podcast?
Jim Cornette podcast. His podcast.
I'm gonna share a story with you. When we wrap this up, both of you guys will already know, but I'll tell you the story after. Nominate one person you want to see on this show.
On this show, Lex Lozano, my man.
Yeah. And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this show: favorite curse word.
God damn.
That's a great one.
I'm always like 10 times a day, maybe 100 times a day.
Yeah, every once in a while you gotta have a goddamn, and it's great to use whenever it's like god damn, like
yeah. And like I said, I listen to Jim Cornette, and you just hear him go, God damn, God damn.
Word. Well, listen, man, those are all my questions I have for you. So the last thing I need you to do is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Where you can find a man that's too good to be true, the real face of Focus Pro Wrestling. This Friday, Bristol, Rhode Island for NCW, Peabody, Mass for Proving Ground on Saturday, and of course, April 26th, back at Widowmaker Brewery for Focus Pro Wrestling. Focus Pro, I forget Stan Styles, his promotion's name, but yep, hell yeah, I don't know who I'm wrestling. I threw out the open challenge. Any mommy who wants to step up to Papi Guapo. I'll show you. I'll give you the night of your life.
Yeah, careful what mommy you ask for, because then all of a sudden, like, out of nowhere you hear, "This is my brutality."
I would love that, please. She beats me up in 3 seconds. Please come here, mommy.
Mommy and Poppy together. All right, well, hey, yo, so he let you know where you can find him. He gave you all of his social media handles. He even told you about some of the shows that are coming up, so you guys pay attention. If you guys also have IWTV, if you guys can't be there physically, you guys can go check out Focus Pro Wrestling / Intergender Bonanza on April 26th. It is there, so you guys can go check that out. But what does that mean? Like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take this home, because this is the 3 Count podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And like every great show, it's never about me, it's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring? You see him right there, Diego Alvarez. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you're legitimately follow us on all of our social media platforms. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're follow us on Spotify. You're even leaving those 5-star frog slash reviews off the Hubble telescope down onto, Apple Podcasts. You are also checking us on Amazon Music. You're even listening to us to that dumb app with the stupid jingle that goes iHeartRadio or whatever it is. You're buying our merch on foryourwear.com or even buying our merch on prowrestlingtees.com. You're doing all that stuff, or really you're just telling your mom about us, your dad about us, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your best friends, your cousins, and your enemies, because we love haters too. Do all those things, or really you just kind of waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for that outro, and then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Kawaii. What's up? It is your friendly neighborhood Red Dog, and thank you for checking out this episode of the 3 Count Podcast. Whether that was Chaz friends, Red Dog friends, Damien friends, the Film Slouch, now into the ring, now entering 201, or now returning to the ring, all those good episodes. You should really be liking, commenting, and even sharing this with your friends, family, whoever it may be. But what you all should be doing is checking us out on all of our social media platforms at 3 Count Pod, whether that's on IG, Twitch, you can check us out on Threads, whatever it may be. And if you go check us out on X, it is 3count_pod. Check us out on YouTube, as well as Facebook, on Rumble, on Apple Music, on Spotify, all those fun things. Tell your mom about us, your dad about us, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, and your best friends and your enemies, because we love haters too. Do all that stuff, and then, last but not least, buy our merch on foryourwear.com or prowrestlingtees.com. Kawaii.